This is the background we chose. We did it once for Loki.
Pick whichever one, honestly, was like no fucking clue. I'm so tired. Holy shit.
Oh man, there's always wrong one. There we go.
There you go.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the third episode of Marvel's What If. This is a spoilers review. I am Trasnell, and I'm actually joined by
Barely hanging in there, Taylor Field.
barely hanging in there. This guy's been away for a month, and he can barely step for a Marvel show. You know what's gonna happen next?
I don't miss these late nights. Holy shit.
What? No, the hype. You know what's gonna happen when Boba's coming up?
I'll get me back in the groove. I'll be ready by then.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, head down in the description below. We got lots of stuff. If you see on the feed, we just reviewed the first trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home. A big thank you. We'll get more of that newscast, but did very well. It's our third biggest day, so big shout out to all you that checked that out. Lots of stuff popping off. Just check out our Twitter and Facebook. I'm pulling it for Taylor because he's barely hanging in there. He says, lots of good stuff going on. We'll have another newscast dropping this week. I should be seeing Candyman this week. And then also August 27th, it's us versus DC Alliance in Rocket League, 6 p.m. PST. If we win, Clay loses his title shot. So look out for that. So Taylor, I'm just going to quickly throw to you. I'm trying to think. On Patreon. If you like what we do, head over there. Get ad-free exclusive early episodes, bunch of tiers, a bunch of benefits. So Taylor, what have you thought of the show so far? Because you weren't here for the first two episodes. What have you thought of What If? We had Captain Carter, and then we had T'Challa, and then we had this. So what do you think about the show overall so far?
I mean, overall, I love it. I think like the animation style is wonderful. I think that it's got really great little doses of humor. And my favorite thing is just like the timing of this show. I think that this is a time that this show can just full on like sprint to the finish line with the stuff that they can source from, because they've built such a massive in-depth world in the MCU, and this is the perfect show to pull from so much. As obviously we saw in last week's episode,
Yeah,
there was so much unexpected things and characters that they dipped into. I was thinking like, oh my god, this is incredible. It was such a great surprise to see so much. And again, they did it again this week. There were so many unexpected things that they pulled, and it was kind of like, to me, this episode felt like an opposite of last week's episode in a way. Like, and I will get to that in the spoilers, but the overall, the show is just, it's great. It's just such a nice surprise. It's like a fresh dose. It's canon, which I like, and it just fits with
canon.
it fits with like the whole thing that Loki's finale kind of triggered. And I'm super excited to see these different variants appear in the MCU live action, because there's so much potential. I mean, you could get that live action Nebula. You could get if you always say Thanos is coming back, you get the Thanos who's like on the good side, like it's so cool to think that all these characters exist now in this universe.
If you have a ranking of the 3 episodes, how would you rank them?
I would put I'd probably put last week's episode as number 1, and then I would put this week's as 2, and then Captain Carter's as 3, I'd say.
Yeah, I feel like that might be similar, because there were the critics got the first 3 episodes. That's where I guess it all depends on, the whole internet's fighting over Doctor Strange right now. So it all depends who you are and what you like and what you watch. But we had kind of heard like, oh, the first one's fine, second one's kind of fun, and then the third one, it gets really interesting. I still really liked this episode, but I liked last week a tad more. I don't necessarily know why. I think it was just like there was a lot more. I can't say unpredictability, because there's some really crazy stuff that happens in this episode, especially with the Hulk we'll get into, but there's just one moment in particular I was like, whoa. So there is some cool, and this should not be a spoiler. We're doing non-spoilers, then we'll do spoilers. It's what if the Earth's mightiest heroes never exist. So pretty much just what if the Avengers didn't existed, right? And there's a bunch of unfortunate events that ensue that keep the team from being together. So I liked it, but definitely I guess last week did have, and I usually like the more darker stuff, but I guess I just liked that world of all the fun surprises, all the twists and turns, where this one is a bit more, it is a murder mystery, but it's also just more dark. It's actually more classic, like what if comic books. Because the what if comic books are usually they end on like a dour note. And I definitely say this is that one. But yeah, I think there were some fun twists and turns. I'm excited to see if we pick up from these because I don't know. We've heard some of these characters will come back. So, like last week, we had that cliffhanger with Ego. This week, we have a cliffhanger. Will we return these, or will we return these in future seasons, or will they just ignore them? I think they'll definitely like Ego. We know Kurt Russell's in the show. I'm pretty sure more than that. So, like he's coming back. But then it's interesting. And I had a question in the first episode too of okay, the Captain Mar or the Captain Carter episode. Does that happen in the same universe as like the Black Panther one? And I feel like this episode clearly answers certain things, which is good. So yeah, I would go the T'Challa one, this one, then Captain Carter. Captain Carter I liked. It was a good like setup one, but I do prefer this one. I think is more, if you're wondering, at the vein as far as it it follows the beats of a movie, but then it changes like a lot. Where Captain Carter was pretty much the whole first Avenger, like a tribute to, you know. So all in
Mhm.
the game says murder mystery aspect was really cool with interesting and intelligent villain choice. Absolutely. I'm very excited to talk about the I don't know, the antagonist of these certain events. So is there anything else non-spoiler you want to say before we get into the spoilers?
I got nothing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as always, going to take a quick ad break. So you get one of those, and then we'll be right back with spoilers. So if you've not seen the episode, come back later. We both like it. As always, watch it, and then we'll be right back. And we're back. So where do you want to start? Because we had three separate stories. Well, I guess we kind of had three. You kind of had the Avengers divide up, but you had like Black Widow and her journey. You had Clint, and then you had I guess Hulk, they kind of all merged in one, but I feel like those were the ones that got the most screen time because Iron Man did not get. He was eating his donut, he got injected with Ando, and he died right away. He was the first one to go. You know, were you a little sad by that because you're an Iron Man guy?
Well, I liked how it was like Iron Man 2 vibes, and I like how they dated it. Like, oh, these significant events were all within a week, which I had no
Yeah.
idea. And I love how the Incredible Hulk got like like a spotlight because we got that whole scene of
Hmm.
when he turns to the Hulk, goes up against General Ross and stuff. And Ross's daughter, I thought that was extremely cool to see back in the MCU here because we've only ever gotten her in just the Incredible Hulk, right? We haven't gotten her in anything else.
Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
else. Yeah.
So I thought that was very, very cool, very exciting. And I guess we'll start off with Hulk. I mean, his death was the worst. I'm thinking, oh, it's one of these deaths. This is brutal. Shit.
Now this is an episode that luckily, like I started a little bit later. I went to the gym, so I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be tired for this one. Because last week I thought I wasn't tired, but then I missed this one line clearly. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym. Every time I go to the gym, then come back for episode, I'm always awake. So I was not falling asleep, but if I were, that Hulk thing would have just rocked me up because like I was paying attention, I was watching, I was like, okay, this is just like Incredible Hulk, right? I just thought, okay, something's gonna happen this time. They're gonna win. The army's gonna win. They're gonna like kill him, to detain him, something like that. But the fact that we'll get to why he does blow up, but the fact that all of a sudden he just starts to grow and grow, and then he just bursts right in front of Betty's eyes. Man, that's definitely the worst way to go, you know. And
Yeah.
it was just like it started as comical, but then once he like blew up, it was like, oh man, this is brutal. And you brought up Betty. I used to bring this up on Marvel Alliance all the time. Like you and me are big Incredible Hulk fans, and I do really want them to bring back Betty Ross at some point. They're bringing back Abomination. Like they started slowly, right? Like they took Hulk, and then like, hey, Hulk's just by himself. But then like, okay, we got Thunderbolt Ross. It's like, okay, that's good. Okay, now we got what's his name, Abomination slash
Mhm.
Blonsky back. So it's like I'm waiting for her to come back, especially now that Black Widow's dead. I feel not that she needs to be an insta love interest, but there's no kind of, oh, Bruce is maybe tied with Black Widow and stuff like that. So the fact that they used her here gives me hope. Yes, it is like tributing the old movie, but still, like, it gives me a little hope. Oh, like, okay, they're using her. And I also found it really fun of Mark Ruffalo having to be in the world that he never was in, because like obviously this was Edward Norton, right? I would say that like it was weird that I feel like the Bruce Banner they designed looked like neither Edward Norton nor Mark Ruffalo. It was just like,
I got big Ruffalo
did
vibes,
you?
actually. Yeah.
Okay, I think there's certain shots, but there's just certain times where I'm not sure if it was like amalgamation of the two or it's just like here's a Bruce Banner. But I did like seeing him like or hearing him in that world because obviously he was not in that movie, right? So now it feels almost like a full recast and everything. But yeah, poor Hulk. And I think the way that Black Widow got to Betty, because like we said, what happens is Black Widow hits Tony with the antidote. They think, oh, maybe she poisoned. They meaning Shield, so she's on the run. It made sense of how we got to Betty Ross. Of, oh, you do a lot of things like off the books and stuff. It's like, okay, this makes sense. Like all majority of these like what if episodes have made sense of, oh, I could see that happening. But
Mhm.
then unfortunately for Bruce, he didn't last long. He went to go fight Thunderbolt and he just blew up. So he was gone. Iron Man's gone. Let's talk about Thor quickly because Thor is not along for this world either. Same thing as Thor, the movie. Hammer is in New Mexico, Albuquerque, and he's trying to get it. He's going through all these guards and everything like that. And then Hawkeye, they do the same thing in the Thor movie. He has his arrow. Should I take the shot? And they replace Coulson with Nick Fury because, like, with Iron Man dead, like now Nick Fury is trying to figure out what's going on. And it seems like he's kind of trying to like recruit the Avengers a lot quicker now because obviously
Mhm.
a few of them have dropped. So it's the same thing. Hawkeye has like his aims on Thor. He's like, should I take the shot? He's like, no, hold on. I want to see this. And then as Thor goes to get the hammer, boom, this arrow goes, it just pierces Thor through the Hulk, or pierces Thor through the heart, not the Hulk. That's it. Thor's done. He's gone. He's dead. And now Clint Barton has been arrested in in
He didn't
prison.
even have a line in this episode. Like Thor just got fucked up.
Which is strange because they have Chris Hemsworth back for the show. So, and this was the thing too to mention that we'll talk about Thor in a second, but because there's an episode I think coming up with Thor, like a Thor What If. But I had said like, okay, if Captain Carter goes into the future and then you have like T'Challa, Star-Lord, are these multiple universes or is that the same one? Obviously it's multiple universes because later on this season we have an episode of Iron Man and Killmonger teaming up, right? So clearly Iron Man being dead, they might core like come together because like Multiverse of Madness or something might have a show, but at least it's showing okay, Iron Man dies in this, but later on the season he's going to be back with Killmonger. So these episodes are even the ending. We'll talk about with the Captain America situation. It's showing that so far, I would imagine all these three episodes are in different universes. I would
Mhm.
assume, right? Like, are you assuming the same thing?
I would assume so. Yeah. I mean, just with the events, like yeah, first episode, you have Captain Carter comes in the future. Yeah, Hawkeye and Nick Fury are there,
Right,
and
Hawkeye's
we
there.
Hawkeye's there. Yeah, he's not dead, so we got that. And then you have yeah, episode 2, which is like the perfect universe where um I mean, episode 2 could fit with this episode because
Or Captain Carter too, right? It could fit with one of
y-
them because it's so off to
yeah,
itself. So
it is off to itself. It's hard to say, but I feel like it's still they're all their own things. Although this episode that we got, we didn't get. At least I must have missed it. The narration, like there it is. When a new universe is created, they didn't do that in this episode. I don't think, did they?
I don't know if they did actually. I'll because I will watch it back because I always watch with the girls the next day. So I'll look out for that. If anyone caught that, let us know in the Discord or the YouTube or whatnot. But no, I didn't catch that one. I didn't. I will say I really like because I catch them always the second time, but this time I guess that's how I know I'm more awake. I love the Watcher being in the background of a bunch of stuff like in the
Yeah.
Golden Gate Bridge when they're in the desert. I really like that. So back to Thor. Thor's dead. Nothing happens with him. He just doesn't get the hammer. And then Hawkeye, even though we said Hulk was a terrible death, I feel like Hawkeye's might be just as bad. You have like okay, we can just say it, but like you have Yellow Jacket, and we'll get to Yellow Jacket, just crawl into his earlobe and like mess him up. I feel like that's not a like I don't know. I honestly don't know what's worst way to go, Hulk or Clint's way, because like yes,
He
like
would
I
have
get
felt everything going on in his ear. Like it's just gross.
100%, but then do you want to blow up as the Hulk? Like what do you
No,
pick? What
not really. Well, I mean, the Hulk, like you, you're a regular human, and then you go into Hulk mode, and you're super angry and just intense. So it may just be like you may not even have a clue what's going on. You're just so angry. But then as Hawkeye, you're just trapped in jail, and you can feel it, and you're like scratching your head trying to get at it. You can't, and it's like oh, going into your brain. Yeah, that's just messed.
Yeah, so Hawkeye gets killed. I like that they did call back because I was like, man, his family. I like that Nick Fury reveals like, oh, he had a wife and kids and everything like that, which he wouldn't have done, but because he's dead,
Just
it's like
spills the beans now. Yeah.
well, he's dead, right? So it doesn't really matter. It's like, well, All in the Game says never understood why some people always make fun of the villain as a bit of a useless low tier hero. This shows how brutal and versatile the type of hero can be. It can, but all in game, I think that's because, like, obviously you've seen the episode. We're in spoilers. We'll get to the reveal of like who Yellow Jacket is, but I think if you look at the Ant-Man movies, they haven't done a good, like, Yellow Jacket is notoriously one of the weakest villains in the Marvel movies. So I think they never really showed how much of a threat he could be. Ant-Man, I think, because Paul Rudd, he always gets kind of written off as a jokester. If he would have won Thanos' butt, that would have been over. People would have really understood that didn't happen. And then in what? Ant-Man and Wasp, we got Ghost. So it's like they've never really shown, like, I agree with you. Like, the powers of the Ant-Man suit, the Yellow Jacket suit, or the Wasp suit can really mess someone up, I think, I guess the closest is like when Ant-Man went into Tony's suit, but even then it's like him being like, I'm your conscience. So it's like you're not thinking about his powers, you're thinking about, man, Paul Rudd's a funny motherfucker. But so Hawkeye's gone. Nick Fury's starting to put together that, okay, the people that are dying off are in the Avengers initiative that he has planned out. He tells Black Widow that, because Black Widow's kind of like the main character B, I'd say. Like, I feel like she's most main character the first half of the episode, and then once she gets killed off, then Fury takes over. But
Mhm.
that's the link, is all these people are dying off. So we got Hawkeye dead, Thor dead, Hulk dead, what am I missing? Iron Man dead, and then, oh right, the sixth one is Frozen. We'll get to him. And then Black Widow's next up. So she's looking at all these files and whatnot. And I like that earlier in the episode, they're showing some files and it showed Hope Van Dyne, and it showed that she was dead, because right here Black Widow is fighting something that we look at first, and I'm not gonna lie, maybe it's because it's later, I assumed it was someone invisible. I did not think someone small. What were you thinking of that scene when she was getting her butt kicked?
I honestly was thinking it was it Ghost from Ant-Man and
Yeah,
the Wasp? That was my first thought, because yeah, I was thinking like, okay, invisible, there must be something here to that degree. Again, I thought it was a super cool when she was on the computer, Black Widow, and you can quickly see like all the characters. Then you see Hope, and it has X's, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. I wonder what's
yeah.
going on there. And then I even then though I still didn't click with the villain, like who it would be, and it that just was like, I was like, what? Like, he looks absolutely insane. Like, he's gone down a dark path.
So yeah, then Black Widow gets messed up, and then Nick Fury goes to, I think, what he goes to the grave of he goes to the
He
grave
goes
of
to
Hope,
Hope's
right?
grave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because Janet was listed as missing still, I think. So they're kind of keeping with continuity there. And then yeah, or some magical with force powers. Yeah, I thought the same thing. I was not thinking, even though there was that I saw that hint of Hope, like Taylor, but I didn't think that. I just thought, oh, okay, in this universe, like, they're going to explain she was, doing something with Fury. So, like, it might come later on. It did come later on, because he goes to Hope's gravesite. And like Taylor said, we get the big reveal that uh, Hank Pym is now Yellow Jacket. And yeah, he is looking rough. He is looking really bad. He's looking tired. His eyes are all bulging and yellow, and not yellow, I guess purple, but he's just super depressed, and he's mad that Nick Fury, he blames Nick Fury for the death of his daughter. So they start to slowly reveal that, like, man, Hulk Steph, he went into Hulk's body and threw one of those like expander grower things to make you giant man at the Hulk's heart. So he just made the Hulk's heart explode. He, like we talked about with Hank Pym, he went in his ear and stuff like that. So they get to show this like fun little like saw, like all the twists of how he killed each character and why he did it and everything like that. And it was just to kind of give Fury I don't know, just to take something from him. So what do you think about the reveal of him actually it being Hank Pym, and him being the one that dispatched of all our, former Avengers?
Uh yeah, it totally it totally caught me off guard. And I his justifications as well, like just pissed off at Shield. He literally took out all the Avengers. I mean, of all the
Hmm.
characters, it was Hank Pym. That's just crazy. And
When you saw Yellow Jacket, did you think it was going to be the guy from Ant-Man at first? Like the guy who's actually the
it
villain?
crossed my mind, but this whole time I'm just thinking like, okay, there's got to be a catch, because this is all
Yeah.
like it is always a catch with this, and they're pulling from so many different parts of the MCU. Um, I got excited when they were kind of like hinting at other things earlier in the episode, and I was like, okay, like, are they gonna like come in? But at this point in time, but I wasn't expecting like the end result, like in that fight scene against Hank. Like Hank was fighting against Nick Fury and he was dropping like cues like you're pretty spry and stuff. I'm like, okay, now there's something else afoot here. So, and there was, and again, the whole Loki helping him thing was pretty cool too. And I was trying to remind myself, like, okay, like at this time, Odin is in like the sleep, and
Mhm.
Loki is king of Asgard, and is definitely like got his evil agenda, even though he's acting like he's good. Don't go for that.
Well, yeah, and that's the part we skipped over is when it's like shortly after Thor dies, Loki invades, and it's funny because I feel like he's there because he's like, oh, we've heard about the death of our prince and stuff, and we're here to find out and take over because you guys must be bad people. You killed my brother. I feel like, and we'll talk about what his motives later on. I feel like he just uses that as like a to kind of court favor of the other Asgardians, like the Warriors 3 and stuff. Like he's trying to seem like he's noble, like, oh yeah, I'm here for my brother, but really he's there for his own gain. And he does, it looks like, oh, okay, we're gonna get Loki, the good guy Loki, because he helps Nick Fury. He creates like multiple Nick Furies, so he freaks out Hank Pym, and then it's revealed Loki's there and everything like that. So that's the other twist is Nick Fury kind of outsmarts Hank Pym. They win in the end of the day, and then there's two kind of cliffhangers where Loki and Asgard is like invited to Earth to be, I don't know, like a hero or like whatever. They're invited to be a part of the squad, right? And
Hmm.
then Loki's making this speech about being together, but then it slowly turns into like the old Avengers speech where he's like, "You're meant to be ruled, and I'm here to take over." So it seems like now with Hank Pym gone, now Loki's kind of got access to this world, and he's just gonna take over. So there's that, but then there's also, which I really really enjoyed at one point when the Avengers start to drop, they did tease like, oh, I got a call, there's one Avenger that they haven't got to yet, and then we got that Captain Marvel kind of pager and everything like that, and man, it takes her a while. It doesn't matter what universe, it takes her a while to get there. I get that she's busy, but like again, she came down after same thing in Endgame when all the shit already happened. Same thing here. All the Avengers were already dead, and she's
Hmm.
showing up. But so we got the two captains because she showed up with Fury while he was also looking at like the frozen grave of Captain America. And but the thing was, he did just say Captain. Now he didn't. I still think it's Captain America because as we saw, Captain Carter's or like ending was her going through a wormhole and
Hmm.
getting to them. So I don't think it's him, but he still said Captain. So what do you think about the Loki part ending? As far as it seems that he might be up to no good for the planet Earth, and then what do you think about the two captains?
Uh, yeah, them doing the Loki thing I thought was great. It was just a good tie-in. Was that actually Hiddleston's voice acting
Yeah,
for
I
it?
think so. Yeah, that's what I
Okay.
was going to ask you. How have you thought about the voice acting so far? Because that's kind of been mixed for people, where some people feel some people are a little better, some people wouldn't. I think the first episode to me, like that got the most like negative criticism, and I would agree most people really would. And I think last week there was no issue, and I actually think this week, I think everybody was good. I don't think that was ScarJo, even if it was. They probably recorded her lines because these past few weeks, but no, I feel like that wasn't her. That was definitely Sam Jackson. I feel like some of his lines were really good, and other lines were kind of all right. That's fine. So how have you thought about the voice acting so far?
I love the voice acting. I think all these actors and actresses are totally bringing their A game to it, and
Really, their A
I,
game.
I do. I think it's great because like obviously there's some that I can tell like, well, you're definitely not the OG like real actor, but it works. It totally works, and I feel like I just tell myself, well, they're in a different universe, so there's going to be some slight differences
Yeah.
with these certain characters, which that's fine. Your second question, that was, oh no, sorry,
About
Loki.
Loki first, and then the
Mhm.
captains.
Yeah, Loki taking over. I like how it was he didn't have to use war. I'm assuming in this timeline he didn't actually create like an alliance with uh Thanos. I'm assuming he did it on his own accord because he had his own army. He had Asgard's
Yeah.
army, so that changes it. He wasn't obviously looking for the Tesseract in this case because he had the Frost Giant's weapon that he was using, which was cool to see.
And as of all of Asgard too, it seems like they're
Yeah.
behind him.
Yeah, so yeah, he took over Earth or Midgard that way, which is intriguing. And yeah, I thought it was cool. He got his throne of two realms. As far as the captains, um
Black Widow, Betty Ross, General Ross, voice actors, not the real actors. Some had issues with Benicio's Collectors last week. Well, Benicio's Collector just threw me off because it just didn't sound like him at all, which was fine because I think multiple people, including Brandon Chris, brought up like it does make sense because he's like the jacked up collector and he is different. It was fine. I just didn't think it was him. I'm the same way where I think some that like for me, honestly, like I think Peggy Carter or like what's her name, Haley Atwell did a fine job. Sebastian Stan to me in the first episode, if you rewatch it, he was not good. He was super wooden, and it just didn't feel like he was actually. It just felt like he was walked in for 10 minutes, recorded his line, and got out. So I feel like some people are wooden, but General Ross, I couldn't tell. I knew it wasn't. I knew Betty was not the same voice, and I knew Black Widow was not the same voice. I think she did a good job though. Like as long as it's good voice acting, I hear it for like 15 seconds. I go, okay, that's not Scarjo, but she sounds pretty close to her. Works for me, like the best guy I think they've done so far was the guy they got for Steve Rogers because he's like he not like he didn't even sound exactly like Chris Evans, but he just had like the cadence of Chris Evans, and I think he did a really good job. But so yeah, what do you think about the two captains?
Again, I love that moment because I totally thought he was talking about Captain America in there. I don't again, obviously, I don't think it's Captain Carter at all. I think her universe is she comes out of the Tesseract portal. But again, I wasn't sure if they're gonna actually bring in Captain Marvel because I got super excited. I'm not gonna lie when I saw the pager. And it's just because like it's the cameos, it's all these different characters
Finally,
coming
he's excited for
together.
Captain Marvel. Finally,
Well, I liked her in this respect because she just
I like
like
these 2 seconds she was in opposed to her whole movie and
I'm
Endgame.
as no matter how I feel about her movie, I will admit I've liked her going forward in cahoots with these other characters. I like her character interacting with them. And she's another character pulled out of the MCU that's been tossed in here. When he reached to grab the pager because he's losing all of these major assets to his Avengers team, I'm like, shit, that's super cool. And then now you have like, okay, the Avengers Initiative is completely fallen apart, and now you have him still going at it, trying to do it. And she's obviously going to be a key figure. You're going to have Captain Marvel. You're going to have whatever Captain America this is. This could be again,
Red
if they
Skull.
do, what's that?
Red Skull.
Red Skull, yeah. Again, if they do a season 2 and they do like sequel episodes to these episodes, which I could see easily because like you mentioned, they're all on cliffhangers. I could see them totally just making us think that that's Captain America. No, it's or Steve Rogers that's in there. No, it's totally someone different. So
Well, that's what I was going to ask you because we were talking about last week when we were talking about the Eagle thing, and I was like, well, I think it's not a good ending because obviously then they'll Peter Quill, he'll have him. He's going to not have the good guy sense, be like, oh, I'm not going to trust this evil dad. But the thing is, like, we know Chadwick Boseman is in at least 3 more episodes. So, like, do you think they all somehow get connected? Do you think that they revisit them in this season? Do you think that they revisit some? Like, that's where I'm trying to figure out, like, what if some characters we know him and we know Captain Carter are going to be in at least 2 or a few more episodes? Because in one of the trailers, the last one, I think it came out right before you were leaving, there's a scene that has Captain Carter and Doctor Strange together. So clearly we haven't seen that. So some of these stories are going to tie together. I just don't know how, and I don't believe that they would. There's 9 episodes. I don't think all of them will like have a follow-up or something like that, but it could, especially because like Captain Marvel, I don't think like that's all we're gonna see of her of this season, right? That would feel kind of weird. And I would say that she didn't talk, but I know that she's not gonna be voiced by Brie Larson. The other thing I will say that when you're talking about like whatever captain's in there, it would be cool because as of right now, the content we got of Steve Rogers and Carol Danvers was pretty light. They didn't interact that much in Endgame, right? They're just kind of around. So I think what if's kind of cool that you could use things like that for her and him to interact more of stuff we never got to see. So, but yeah, what do you think about some of these cliffhangers and whatnot?
Again, I like all these cliffhangers. I'm a big cliffhanger kind of guy. I love it. So I think that whatever they have in store for combining all these characters arcs somehow, or just all these roles, an Avengers team with members from different universes,
That'd be hype.
that would be very hype.
Like six Avengers, 6 different universes. You got T'Challa, Star Lord, you got Captain Carter, you got I guess
6
you just have
Hulks.
Captain Marvel. Yeah, 6 Hulks. Yeah, you got Hank Pym, Yellow Jacket. They got him back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be
Um
interesting.
I think that as far as like all these characters like being combined into like Doctor Strange and you said Doctor Strange and T'Challa.
No, Doctor Strange. Well, T'Challa is said to be in more episodes, and there is an image in the trailer of Captain Carter and Doctor Strange together. So it's pretty much fact that at least Captain Carter and T'Challa will be appearing in more episodes.
That's okay. That's interesting because now
Yeah.
I do think that it's probably not connected to these previous episodes. They're just more spin-off universes
Hmm.
just with the characters. I think a lot of people probably would anticipate like, oh, it'd probably be like, yeah, maybe it is sequel episodes, or maybe it's like just in the same universes we've seen so far with these same characters. But I do think it's actually probably just other multiverse scenarios that they're using and diving into. I mean, I would go ham, just create all these different, multiverse nexus
Oh
events.
yeah, especially because like they can do some in live action, but if it's just the animation, they can really go crazy. They don't have to like, oh, we got too many. It's like, no, it's fun, it's fine, do it. Mira says they said the event of What If is connected to the MCU future, so maybe Doctor Strange isn't a good guy in What If or No Way Home. This is like a little off topic. We didn't talk about this in the trailer. We talked about it a little bit last night, but next week is the Doctor Strange episode, so that's why it's relevant, and then we'll end on that. What do you think about the whole internet has been a buzz today of like, is that not Doctor Strange in the trailer? Is that Mephisto? Is that a Skrull? Which I don't think it would be a Skrull. That would make no sense. But the whole Mephisto, like, oh, Doctor Strange, like it's an Agatha all along situation. And the other reason is because supposedly we've seen this in trailers, but next week the What If episode is Doctor Strange dealing with like an evil Doctor Strange, right? Like we've seen that before. So do you have any merit to these theories that the Doctor Strange in No Way Home is not the Stephen Strange we know? Because other people have been like, oh, that's the reason he's maybe, doing this trick for Peter because like he has ulterior motives. I'll just say that I don't think it is. I think it's been fun to see the internet because people are so divided as far as some people are like, oh no, Doctor Strange would 100% do this with Peter. And then some people like myself and you were a little bit like that last night, like, I don't really see it. So it's great that we have this one character that everyone sees in completely different ways. I think it's just that he's in the hands of different writers and they kind of act differently. It's the way Thor acts differently in Ragnarok than when he's in Infinity War. The same way Spider-Man to me, I like better when the Russos handle him compared to John Watt. So do you have any merit that the Doctor Strange No Way Home could be this evil what if doctor or something else, or do you think that's all BS?
Just because he's wearing like sweatpants and has
Yeah.
a box mug, it does not make him the devil. Or I refuse to believe that. I think
Well, they
that
think because the wish, and they think that there's that scene of him winking, so people are like, "Look, he's winking like Agatha had winked," like the.
I will say, okay, there's credibility in the sense that yeah, it's very much different from how I would think Doctor Strange would act. Again, he's obviously endured and gone through something that's put him in this scenario that's dangerous because yeah, he doesn't seem to really care and things are very chillax. But if it was Mephisto that's taken his place, I don't believe he would have let it like frozen over unless it's like a hell frozen over kind of like gimmick or something like
Mhm.
that. But I don't think that's the case. I think if it was Mephisto, he wouldn't just be sitting around like hanging out as the sorcerer supreme with Wong and then just like granting wishes whenever. I feel like again he would be doing much more important things than just sitting in this the sanctum.
He's
So
waiting for Peter. He's
I
waiting for
waiting
Peter.
for Peter, I guess. I feel like again, I don't think Mephisto has the capability of using the powers that the Sorcerer Supreme has. I feel like Mephisto's powers are very different on that front. Again, I don't have much insight into Mephisto, only through the Loki series that we read for comic book
Yeah,
versions.
he in the comic books did do what Doctor Strange did, where he erased everyone's
Mm.
memory and made it that. That's the other reason, because there's this storyline that lots of people hate called
Oh.
One More Day, and he did do that. So he does have pretty powerful capabilities. My
Mhm.
one hope is that they don't do that as well, because I also just think that makes Wong look a little bad if this whole time he's just been like chilling
He's
with
going to
Mephisto.
see Shang-Chi. That's where he wants to
Yeah,
be.
maybe that's why he's too concussed to realize it's Mephisto. He's like, no, that's just Steven, and he's just getting rocked. But yeah, we'll see next week. Supposedly, I think that's almost all but been confirmed that next week is the evil Doctor Strange one, and I'm excited because that one at first, like, I like Doctor Strange, but it interests me the least. But these past 2 weeks have been fun, and maybe that's where we get even more ties to some of this multiverse stuff. So Obviously, well, I usually rate the show near the end. Are you rating the episodes? Or are you rating at the end? What are you doing?
I'll rate at the end.
Anything else on this episode?
Um, I think I can think of just I love the nostalgia trip again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just I love how they recreate the scenes to a T. That was a big thing that I love that they did in uh again, like shoutouts like Star Wars: The Bad Batch, but like Disney is great with these animated series at recreating like peak moments of their franchises in
Yeah.
the animated sense, and it just baffles me because you can compare, especially like Tony and the Donut and that whole scene to Iron Man 2. It's like a side by side, and it's like spot on identical. And I don't know why I like that. It's just so well done. It's executed so good.
Well, like I said, Lucasfilm, just steal it. Just do Star Wars What If in the next few years. I want it. Same thing. Like this is a fun concept, do it animated. So, well, Taylor, it was good to have you on the first What If episode. We'll see if Kirkland makes it to one. He said he was going to be on this week.
49%.
49%. Yeah, it's a pretty low. It's dipping next week. So we'll be back next week. Like we said, we got a bunch of other stuff on the schedule. But look, we just a newscast. Look, we got the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. So lots of stuff popping off. So I promise when you hear from us next, it'll not be boring. Thank you very much.